Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. New week, new transfers to talk about, including players who are going to potentially stay or potentially leave. So we have the latest on Eberechi Eze, that's the one that everyone is waiting for. We have the latest on Rodrygo as well. And then more importantly, are these players going to sign contracts or are they going to leave? William Saliba, the latest on Trossard, Jesus, Zinchenko, and Reiss Nelson as well. We don't have any updates on Fabio Vieira, but we're definitely going to be talking about him. And then at the end, some more details on the Gyokeres deal. We finally have Gyokeres through the line. This is the first time you're starting a video by not talking about Gyokeres in like 2 months or something. But hey, a lot to talk about. Hopefully you guys are having a good week, a good Monday already. And we are less than 3 weeks away from the Premier League starting. So not too much time. We'll be playing Man United in less than 3 weeks. We have to be prepared by then. 3 more friendlies to go against Tottenham. We've played 2 already, and plus Watford behind closed doors. So we're going to play against Tottenham on Thursday, and then next week we're going to play against Bilbao and Villarreal, and then down to business with the Premier League. So we've only seen 3 of our new signings playing up to this point. You haven't seen Madueke playing, you haven't seen Gyokeres playing, you haven't seen Mosquera playing. Let's hope we get to see them playing very soon. Now, let's get to the latest news today, and that is on Eberechi Eze. Let's start with Eze first. Miguel Delaney had this to report over the weekend. With Gyokeres signed, Arsenal are pushing on for Eze. Possible a player goes the other way, although Nelson, who had been broached as an option, are now going to Fulham. Now, let's read and let's see what he said in the article. Miguel Delaney, he says, Arsenal are aiming to swiftly move to secure Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze once the deal for Sporting's Viktor Gyokeres is complete. The Independent understands the Swede is currently in London, blah, blah, blah. Mikel Arteta's side, Eze's top choice, and as previously been reported by the Independent, and those close to the player are confident a deal will be done in the next few weeks. He goes on to say Arsenal are hoping to agree a fee that comes to £60 million rather than the reported 68 million clause, although on terms that are amendable to Palace. Although there has not yet been any formal contact between the two clubs, the suggestions are that both will be flexible amid good relationships between the two boardrooms. The Independent has previously reported that Arsenal are constructing a deal that they hoped could split into 3 installments of 20 million each. Arsenal's preference would be to sell a player before they move to the Eze deal, but it is understood the signing is not contingent on that. There's a possibility Reiss Nelson could be included in that deal. So as of now, it's looking like Nelson will be heading back to Fulham, whether it's going to be on loan or be sold. I guess Arsenal really want to sell him. Or if Arsenal don't sell Nelson and they don't sell Jesus and then end up loaning them, then it kind of means Arsenal not really desperate for the money, because at the moment, those are like the few players that we can sell. And I didn't even have Jesus on that list because of the injury. I don't think we can like sell him for any significant money. So the likes of Reiss Nelson and the likes of Fabio Vieira, the players that we can sell if they get a market for them. Those are the only players that we can really sell, especially after you hear the news on players like Zinchenko later on in this video. But we wait to see now on Eze. Are we going to push for him this week? Are we going to push for him next week after selling a few players? Because there's still a lot of players that we need to decide the future on. Fabio Vieira, Nelson, Karl Hein in goal, and then Trossard, Zinchenko. All of those players need to decide their futures and then move on to signing Eze. Oh, are we actually going to go for Eze first, finalize our signings, and then go ahead with selling players? That is usually how I prefer it, signing players first and then selling players later. I think that is what we did when we signed Declan Rice, Havertz and Timber. I think that year we signed our players first, and then from July and August we were selling players, letting go of players on loan. That is how I prefer it. Buy your players first, and then you have enough time to let go of players, and you're not desperate to go and replace a player because you already replaced them before. That is how I prefer it. So that is what Miguel Delaney of the Independent had to say about Eze. And Fabrizio had this to say over the weekend as well. Arsenal remain in contact with the Eberechi Eze's camp since June as the player is keen on the move. So the player wants to move to Arsenal. I mean, we were already told that Eze has agreed to join Arsenal. He's already agreed personal terms. He's already agreed, on the length of the contract, the wages and all that. But Arsenal and Crystal Palace haven't really talked to each other yet. No club-to-club talk set with Palace as Arsenal work on outgoings as priority now, with Reiss Nelson to Fulham expected to be the next move. So Fabrizio says Reiss Nelson to Fulham is the next move. So we are waiting to see whether we are going to sell him. Are we going to loan him out? In terms of a swap deal with Crystal Palace, doesn't look likely because Nelson is going to Fulham. Fabio Vieira and Jesus have to want to go to Crystal Palace first of all. So I don't think they'd want to go there. I think Fabio Vieira would prefer to go elsewhere. Lokonga, you never know. Might be a player who could go to Crystal Palace. He might want to go there. Crystal Palace might want him. So we wait and see what happens with that one. But there's not too many players we could exchange with Eze and, pay the money and stuff like that they want. Obviously, they'll have to want the player as well. So I guess it's going to have to be the money. Either they agree to receive the money in installments, 20 million over the next 3 years. So I'm still confident that you're going to get Eze because of how we ended up getting Gyokeres, and we didn't end up paying everything that Sporting wanted at the end. I'm sure they're going to Andrea Bat is going to do a good job in terms of negotiating the Eze deal, and we are going to get a good deal on that one as well. Whether it's giving them a player, whether it's in terms of installments, I'm sure you're going to end up getting a decent deal for Eberechi Eze, which would be great. If Eze comes to Arsenal, that is officially the best transfer window we've ever had, ever. And could be a 10 out of 10 transfer window. If we get Eze, I'd still say 9.5. Unless if you get a winger, like even a cheap winger or just a backup wing or something, it's going to be a 10 for me. We're going to talk about Rodrygo very soon. If you get Rodrygo, it's even like a 15 out of 10. So that is what Fabrice had to say. What about Nico Shearer? Nico Shearer says Arsenal are now ready to submit a bid to Crystal Palace as they push to sign Eberechi Eze. So this was yesterday. So I guess we're going to see how it's going to develop this week. We are playing on Thursday. I don't know if they're going to wait to finish that game first, come to London, go back to London first, and then work on the transfer for Eze and selling players. So we wait and see. I'm confident that this could happen because a lot of the journalists are reporting that Eze is the next one. People were saying, we wanted Xavi Simons second, but Eze first. If Eze one doesn't work out, it's going to be Simons, but Simons is going to Chelsea. So the only one in the market at the moment, that kind of player that we were talking about, Eze, Rogers, Simons, it's only Eze right now remaining in the market. Who wants to join Arsenal? It's going to be easier to join. He's in London. He already was a former Arsenal player, so it would be easier to do it. So confident that we can get the Eze one done. So let's see how it goes this week. I don't expect anything by tomorrow unless we just get surprised completely. Like, we had a Gyokeres medical on the same day as the announcement. Unless we have something like that with Eze, I think it's going to be like later on in the week we're going to hear more about Eze. I think for today and tomorrow it's going to be a little bit quiet. You're going to try and sell players and then move on to buying more players. And then you never know. We were also told that, Arsenal might go for a left back, surprisingly, a new left back, a backup or something, especially now that Calafiori, I don't think it's serious because he was walking okay after the game. But you can see that Calafiori is injury prone at the moment. We cannot play him for 5 games in a row. Gabriel is not fit yet. Timber is not fit yet. We are talking about selling Zinchenko. Tierney has gone. Tomiyasu has gone. We don't have enough defenders. That is just the truth. Right now, we are depending on Ben White to be the Ben White from 2 seasons ago, not to get injured again. We are depending on Saliba not to get injured like at the end of last season. And we're depending on Kiwi, who's also been linked to the move away. So at the moment, we don't have enough defenders. But let's see. We'll talk about the defensive situation later. Now, that is the latest on Eze. What about Rodrygo? Now, I've always told you guys I'm 60% confident Eze will join Arsenal, but as well, I've always told you guys as well that I don't expect Rodrygo to join Arsenal since day one, whether it's in terms of money, whether it's in terms of Rodrygo not being sure whether he wants to leave Real Madrid, whether it's in terms of, Madrid not really wanting to sell him, and also the competition. Eze wants to join Arsenal. Gyokeres wanted to join Arsenal. Mosquera wanted to join Arsenal. There's no guarantee Rodrygo wants to join Arsenal. It could be like the Isaac situation. He might want to go to PSG, might want to go to Man City. He hasn't really ever said he wants to join Arsenal, so that one is a difficult one. And Sport says Arsenal are no longer in the race for Rodrygo, with Real Madrid set to demand at least 85 million for the forward. Yeah, I don't think we're going to pay 85 million for Rodrygo. That would take our spend to close to 300 million in this transfer window. I mean, it would be great to sort out every single problem we have in one transfer window: a backup for Saka, a new left winger, a new striker, 2 new midfielders, a new backup goalkeeper, a new defender in Mosquera. It would be great to have all of those signings in one transfer window and sort out everything, but it's looking very unlikely that Rodrygo would be the one. Now, at the beginning of the transfer window, I told you guys that it doesn't have to be Rodrygo for me. It could have been Rodrygo. It could have been Nico Williams. It could have been Lookman. It could have been, Mitoma. It could have been Leao, whoever that you want to get on that winger position. As long as we have a new winger, I'm absolutely fine with that. Now, if we end up signing Eze, we cannot stop here. That is for sure. We cannot stop here and not sign Eze as well. No, that will not be as good as I want it to be. First of all, you have to make sure you sign Eze, and then after that, we'll see what to do with the winger position. If you sign Eze, it's great. It's not perfect if you don't get a wing. I mean, again, maybe that winger is going to be Madueke, whether we like it or not. It's probably going to be him. So that's why I'm saying I really hope he comes and is a good player for us. If Madueke comes to us and starts shining, we're in a very good spot. If you have Eze at that point as well, and Gyokeres is shining already, and Saka and Nørgaard are still there, it's going to be okay. But if you also don't sign Eze, then you desperately need to get a new winger. So at the moment, if you get Eze, then the winger one is not as desperate as it would have been 1 month ago before you got Gyokeres and Eze. I would still want a winger, but I wouldn't expect us to go and get Rodrygo at 85 million. That would be pretty difficult. That is what Sporto had to say, and this is what I think this is an outlet from Spain. So Madrid Universal reported this or tweeted this. Real Madrid will not sell Rodrygo for less than 100 million euros. So that is around that 85 million pounds. Liverpool want him, but have taken a step back due to the price. Arsenal have also halted their interest. Bayern are not considering him. So it's looking very likely that Rodrygo would end up staying at Real Madrid. I don't think that is a good move for him because the World Cup is coming up. But unless he ends up breaking into the team, which he didn't even as a sub, that would be an interesting one because he was told that he's wanted by like 4 or 5 clubs. He's not really pushed for the move at the moment. He's always been saying, putting on Instagram Real Madrid jersey and all that, trying to pass the message that he really loves Real Madrid. So I don't know if he's going to leave. He might end up staying. So the Rodrygo one is looking very, very tricky. Now, you don't have to get Rodrygo. The way Sunderland have gotten Adingra from Brighton, and I think Leipzig have gotten Bakayoko from PSV. There's players like that. There's a couple of wingers at Brighton that I wouldn't mind at Arsenal. There's a couple of wingers, in Germany, in Spain that you can get. Even if it costs you 30 million, I'm absolutely fine with that. But now that depends if Martinelli and Trossard are going to leave. If both Martinelli and Trossard stay, then I think we're not going to go for a wing. I think they're going to be settled with that. If they get Eze, that will be like close to 260 million spent, close to 270 million spent. I think they'll be content with that. And then now that we have Andrea Bata, maybe we can also be confident about signing players in January. We never sign players in January. Maybe the Andrea Bata there, January is potentially a transfer that we can also get a couple of players if things don't go well throughout the season, or if things go so well and you feel like, oh, okay, we have a couple of injuries, but you're still top of the table, and we're in this competition and that competition. Let's go and add 2 more players. That would be great. But that's the latest on Rodrygo and Eze. Eze, it's looking likely. The Rodrygo one, it's like 10% that Rodrygo is going to join Arsenal. So that one is not likely to happen. And he might actually end up staying at Real Madrid. That is what I feel is going to happen. He might stay at Real Madrid. Now, players who have been linked to the move away. One player that Real Madrid have wanted from Arsenal is William Saliba. I've always imagined Saliba is going to stay at Arsenal. More confident with Saka staying with Saliba, maybe 1 or 2 more years, and then you never know what happens after that. But yesterday, I think it was Curtis from AFTV. He asked Saliba, are you going to stay at Arsenal? And he said, hopefully soon, God is great. He asked him, let me rephrase that again. He asked him, are you going to sign a new contract at Arsenal? And Saliba answered by saying, hopefully soon, God is great. This year, we'll try to win everything. So, let's see if he's going to sign a new contract. I mean, Saliba and Gabriel and Saka, those guys are getting paid so little money at us. So anyway, they should be like in our top 5 highest paid players. And someone like Gabriel was like 19th in terms of getting paid at Arsenal, and Saliba was not amongst the highest paid players at Arsenal. Those kind of players you want to keep. You do not want to let go of Saliba and Gabriel. If you sign Gyokeres and then you let go of Saliba or Gabriel, I mean, it might still work, but you'll have to really replace those players. I don't think you can replace Saliba and Gabriel right now. And I think it would be like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. If you sign Gyokeres and then you sell your best defenders, then all of a sudden you're going to score goals and then you're going to start conceding goals at the back. No, you have to keep your team. Keep the midfielders there, keep the defenders there, keep the goalkeeper there, and then add to that with the forward players, add the backups, and then you go for the title for this season and next season as well, and hopefully many more seasons to come. And the way we've approached this transfer window, by appointing Gabriel Heinze as part of the coaching team, by appointing Andrea Bata, by signing players like Gyokeres, and being linked to players like Eze, who are already very experienced in their prime right now, that shows you that we really want to win stuff this season and next season, not 5 years from now. It would be great if you're also still winning 5 years from now, but we are trying to push to win something this season and next season. So you have to keep your best players as well. You have to, even if you're giving him a 2-year contract, a 3-year contract, Saliba, Gabriel, you make sure you keep them here for the next 2 seasons. Try and win as many trophies as you can. And then after that, those players are not going to stay at Arsenal forever. I'm aware Odegaard is not going to be an Arsenal player forever. Saliba is not going to be an Arsenal player forever. At that point, if you've won stuff and you have replacements, maybe a Mosquera has developed at that point and you can get 200 million for Saliba and he wants to leave maybe 2 years from now, then you can look onto it. But as of now, I do not want us to sell any of those players. So Saliba said hopefully soon he's signing a new contract. And Jordan Davis had this to say, William Saliba, on if he will sign a new contract at Arsenal. Yeah, hopefully. Of course, there is nothing now, but there is a good conversation with my agent and the club. Let's see. So since we have Andrea Bata there, and when it comes to new contract, I think Ateta also does a very good job in terms of convincing the players to sign a new contract. Each one of them usually says it when they sign a new contract. So it's great. So with both Bata and Ateta there in terms of new contracts, I think they're going to convince both Saka and Saliba to sign new contracts. And then we'll be in a very good position. A new contract for Saliba. I think Gabriel signed until 2029. Noni signed a new contract. Lewis Kelly signed a new contract. That would be a very, very good transfer on top of the players that we've signed. Actually, if I throw in the new contracts, I think it's a 10 out of 10 transfer window. If we include Gabriel and Lewis Kelly and Noni, I think that takes the transfer window to a 10 out of 10 for sure, because we could easily have lost any of these players. Real Madrid wanted Lewis Kelly, Chelsea wanted Noni, Gabriel was obviously wanted by a lot of teams. Saliba is wanted by Real Madrid, so it's not easy to keep these players. That is the latest on Saliba. I'm confident he will stay. Hope I'm going to have a big season as well. Obviously, now that Gabriel is also injured, so Saliba is basically like our go-to guy. We're going to be replacing the guys next to him. Sometimes it's going to be Calafiori, sometimes Kivio, sometimes Gabriel. So Saliba is the one that is going to be most consistent. Hopefully, though, we don't play him in every single game. Hopefully, Mosquera does help him in terms of rotation. Now, Gabriel Jesus, will he be here next season? Fabrizio Romano says no talks ongoing between Flamengo and Arsenal for Gabriel Jesus at this stage, despite reports. So yeah, over the weekend we were told that Jesus is keen on a move back to Brazil. Flamengo would want to take him on loan or buy him, obligation to buy, option to buy. Now, those teams in Brazil and, basically teams outside of Europe, I'd never see them like spending that kind of money unless you're like Inter Miami or something, or the Saudi Arabia clubs, obviously. Actually, yeah, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, those ones can spend that kind of money, but I don't think you're going to hear an Australian team has bought someone for 50 million, or you hear a Brazilian team has bought someone for 70 million. Rarely. I don't even think if it has ever happened, because in terms of money, it's very different from Europe and the Middle East in terms of how much money they spend in terms of players. Even the contracts, some players are getting paid 10,000 per week in those countries. So are they going to come and pay Arsenal 30, 40 million for Gabriel Jesus who's been injured for 9 months? I don't think so. I've always said I don't expect Jesus to leave. On loan, it could be a possibility, but in terms of selling him, how much money are we going to get for him? I don't really expect us to get any significant money for him at all. Some people said, if you're not getting any significant money, might as well just keep him as a backup for Gyokeres and then see how he does between now and the end of next season, and then maybe we could try and sell him next season. But at the moment, we don't know what is going to happen with him. Now, since we let go of Tomiyasu, we sold Tomiyasu, or we let go of Tomiyasu, we canceled his contract. Basically, we agreed to cancel his contract. Could Jesus be the same? I doubt. Now, Tomiyasu's on 110,000 per week. Jesus is the second highest paid player at Arsenal, so why should he cancel his contract? I don't think he'd want to cancel his contract. So if Jesus is going to leave on a free, Arsenal would have to, cancel it and then pay him off, pay him 5 million or 6 million to leave, because it's not going to be a mutual agreement. I don't think Jesus will let go of 260,000 per week with 2 years remaining on his contract. I don't think so. So unless he is loaned out and then he enjoys himself over in Brazil, maybe that could be a possibility, because as of now, how much money can we get for him? According to reports, Gabriel Jesus could leave Arsenal this summer. Arsenal value him at 30 million euros. So that's quite low, because that's like 23, 24 million pounds. But obviously, if you consider the injuries that he's had, 2 ACL injuries, that's quite bad luck. Now, if Jesus was being sold after the first season at Arsenal, if he didn't have that ACL at the World Cup, we potentially sell him for more than we bought him for, because he was very good in that first season. If we sell him after the Champions League season, where Jesus was our best player in the Champions League, he was, assisting against Bayern Munich, scoring against Sevilla, assisting against Sevilla. I remember the game against Sevilla away from home where he scored the goal from the corner and he assisted Martinelli's through run. fantastic those games in the Champions League. I think he also scored against Lens and Lens home and away. He was very good in that Champions League. And if you had to sell him that point, you'd have been selling him for 50 million. But since then, obviously, injuries and he's only played 96 games for Arsenal and he scored 26 goals. Now, for the guy we want to be our main man as a striker, 26 goals in 3 seasons is not. It's not good. I know he gets subbed on sometimes. I know he goes off injured sometimes. I know 96 games is little, but 26 goals is what we want Gyokeres to do this season. In one season. That's what we're expecting from Gyokeres, 26 goals. So Jesus has done 26 goals in 3 seasons combined. That is quite low. And on top of that, the other truth is, I've had Gyokeres interviews and he was asked, he read a letter from Odegaard and Odegaard asked him, what do you want from me? And he said, just assists, nothing else. Just get me assists. The guy is a psycho. The guy just wants to score goals. He was also asked, what are you going to provide for Arsenal? What are you bringing to us? Just said, I just want to score goals. Just that. I just want to score goals. Now, if you compare that to Jesus, I'm sure Jesus was asked about scoring goals and he said, goal scoring is not really my strong point. We want our strikers to be, goal scoring to be their strong point. Jesus himself, from his own mouth, he said goal scoring is not really my strong point. While Gyokeres has just said, I just want to score goals. I can stay angry. I can fail to sleep. I don't have to go on holidays. I don't have to see my family. I just want to score goals. I just want to score goals. That is all I want to do. I don't even want to meet the Arsenal players. Just ask them to assist me. That's all. He just wants to score goals. So there's a very big difference there. So at the moment, Jesus, if you can pull 30 million euros for him after 2 ACL injuries with 2 years remaining on his contract, I guess I would take it. I mean, obviously, a year ago, something would have been getting more. But yeah, he's very... And his injuries are not like, minor injuries and stuff. No, when he gets injured, he goes for 9 months. So that is unfortunate. He was one of our best players before the ACL injury at the World Cup. But unfortunately, after that, and Jesus, the kind of player Jesus is, because he's very skillful and he likes to twist and turn left foot, right foot, all that. With his ACL injuries, it's going to be very difficult. Now, in the next 2 years, I don't think he's going to be playing like that. So, well, let's see what happens with Jesus. Now, what about Trossard and Zinchenko? Are they going to leave? Are they going to stay? According to transfers.com, Arsenal are expected to reject any offers for Alexander Zinchenko or Leandro Trossard this summer and keep the pair. So, again, as I've always told you guys, I'm not waking up in the morning thinking, oh my goodness, we have to sell Trossard, we have to sell Zinchenko. And that's not really the case. I'm not desperate to sell them. Unless we need that money to buy players like Eze, then we can talk about selling them. But now things have even changed even more. I know Zinchenko is not the best defender and all, but there's games that we can use him, especially in the Carabao Cup games. We don't have to play Calafiori. I don't want to see Calafiori starting in a Carabao Cup game against Preston and risk more injuries. I don't want to see Timber playing in the Carabao Cup unless, it's like the final or something. We have to protect those players. So considering Tierney has left and now Calafiori is injured again, we only have Lewis Kelly at left back. That is it. So is Lewis Kelly going to play Premier League games, Champions League games, Carabao Cup games, all the way until Calafiori is fully fit? I don't know. Kivio could help at left back, but at the moment, Gabriel is also out injured, so Kivio has to play at centre back. Timber could help at left back, but is currently injured as well. Tomiyasu could have helped at left back, but is no longer an Arsenal player. Tierney could have helped at left back, is no longer an Arsenal player. Mosquera is an Arsenal player now, but even him is not fully fit yet to play because I had that saying, he just came from playing the under 21 Euros. He has to recover a little bit. So even him is not yet playing. So at the moment, you only have White, Saliba, Kivio, and Lewis Kelly. That is it. The rest are either injured or not fully fit. So can we really sell Zinchenko unless we are buying another defender again? I don't think you can. I don't think you can sell him. Now, anyway, I've always said unless we're getting 25 million plus for him, then I might consider it. But at the moment, I guess you have to wait. You don't have to sell him right now. If things go well and those players return and, everyone is fit by the time we play like Leeds or something, and then we get a market for Zinchenko and someone is going to pay us 25 million, then you can sell him at the end of August or something, like the way we sold players like Ramsdale at the very end of the transfer window. But as of now, I'm not really keen on selling Zinchenko, and I'm not really keen on selling Trossard. If we were starting the Premier League tomorrow, Trossard would be starting ahead of Martinelli. According to form, according to goal returns over the last 2 seasons, he would be the one starting ahead of Martinelli. So Arsenal are expected to reject any offers for Alexander Zinchenko and Trossard this summer and keep the pair. I think on the article, there's an article I read on both of them. I think they say that Arsenal didn't really get any good market for them, and because we haven't really, been able to sign players like Rodrygo, we're going to keep Trossard and rotate him with Martinelli and Madueke, all of those three players, and Eze, if he joins Arsenal on that left side as well, just more options. Now, if you have all of those options, that is great. You have like 5 players who can play on the left wing all of a sudden, and you can rotate them throughout. I have no problem with that at all. I'm absolutely happy with that. Especially if we don't need money. If we need money to buy Eze, then we can sell. But if we don't need the money and you're absolutely fine financially, we don't have to sell them at all. Trossard is on 90,000 per week, I think. Let me just confirm. I don't want to do guesswork. I think though it's like around that. Let me see if I really know my Arsenal players. Let's confirm that. Let's confirm Trossard. Let's confirm Trossard. Trossard. 90,000 per week. Come on. He's on 90,000 per week, and his contract is expiring next year. So either we are going to lose him for free next season, or we give him a 1-year contract, or we sell him in January or something like that. For Zinchenko is very different for sure. Zini, where is he? Zinchenko is on 150,000 per week, so that is a lot. That is a lot, and his contract is also expiring next year. So again, if we are looking to keep both of them, then that means we are happy to lose them on a free next year, or we just don't, we actually decide to sell them at the end of the transfer window. Now, Zinchenko as well with Trossard is different in terms of age. Zinchenko is actually still very young, Zinchenko is 28. He's in his prime right now. Trossard right now is 30 years of age. So Zinchenko is younger. Zinchenko has more years to go. Again, from what the players usually say, Zinchenko is a great person to have in the dressing room. So does that also play a factor with the experience and all that? They usually say it's the guy that also keeps people laughing in training and stuff. He cheers up everyone and everyone is in a down mood. I don't know. That could be a factor that they would want to keep him as well, especially when you read this as well. This one. So they also say Alexander Zinchenko had specifically asked to leave Arsenal this summer, but has been convinced to stay by Mikel Arteta. So if Arteta wants him to stay, he is going to stay unless, you never know. For example, we were told that Andrea Bata changed everyone's mind when it came to Gyokeres and decided to go for Gyokeres. We don't know with Zinchenko. So he's getting paid a lot of money per week. So for him, it's different to Trossard in terms of that, but he's also younger. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether we are going to sell them. Also, I don't want us to sell these players for like 10 million or 15 million. Chelsea want 20 million for Sterling. Yeah, the Sterling who played for Arsenal last season. Chelsea wanted to sell him for 20 million. So we cannot be selling Trossard for the same money as Sterling. And they're not the same player. Even Zinchenko, as of now, is a better player than Sterling. So we cannot be selling them for that. If Chelsea are able to pull 30 million, Chelsea are selling Felix for like 30 million plus 20 million in add-ons. Felix, who's never done anything at Chelsea, they're selling him for 50 million. The player has been chased away from AC Milan, chased away from Barcelona, chased away from Atletico Madrid. They're going to sell him for 50 million. So we also need to sell our players for significant money as well. And if no one is paying for them, you might as well keep them. In terms of wages, we've gotten rid of Jorginho's on 100 and something thousand, 110. Partey's on a lot. Tierney's on a lot. All of those players have left Arsenal. Tomiyasu as well. All of them on 100,000 plus. We've already gotten rid of them. So, and the players that we've bought, they're not getting paid that much. I think Gyokeres is like 200,000. The likes of Mosquera less than 100,000. Nørgaard around like 50 or 60,000. So in terms of financially, we're okay. In terms of paying the players wages, we're okay at the moment. We don't have really have problems at right there. Now, Reiss Nelson, we are waiting to see whether he's going to end up joining Fulham. There's not been any news on Fabio Vieira as of now. I think Arsenal don't want to keep him. Arsenal don't want to even loan him out. Arsenal say they want to sell Fabio Vieira, so we wait and see what happens with him. And we just have to wait. But let's hope we do get some money from the sales. And then if that is what is holding us back from getting Eze right now, hopefully we can move quickly. Now, we have something. I think I said something on Gyokeres. So Ghana Blog said in the final stages of negotiations, Sporting fielded an inquiry from Manchester United by Viktor Gyokeres was not for turning. These are the kind of things, even after signing Gyokeres, I'm reading, I'm like, this guy's already an Arsenal legend, Man United still tried to sign him like a week ago when we were trying to talk about the add-ons, but Gyokeres told them, don't bother, man. I want to go to Arsenal. So that is absolutely fantastic. Today, I don't know if you would have been smiling like this, like Gyokeres is an Arsenal player. If he didn't really want to join Arsenal, he could easily have gone to Man United. He could easily have, signed a new contract at Sporting if he was getting along with the president and stuff, but he decided to join Arsenal. He told Man United, don't bother. I don't want to go to work for Amorim. I want to come and work for Arteta. All those things, man. So happy. And he's asking for assists from players like Odegaard. It's just going to shine. Like for me, I've seen people's reaction, People change very quickly. 3 weeks ago, they were like, Arsenal getting Gyokeres. That's not possible. Arsenal can never sign a player like Gyokeres. Now, the same people are like, anyway, he's coming from the Portugal League. He's only going to score like 5 to 10 goals. And I've just seen his FPL prices out. He's going to be 9 million straight into my FPL team. Like Gyokeres is obviously going to score 20 plus Premier League goals. I've not seen someone more obvious in terms of scoring 20 plus goals for us. We've not had it since Aubameyang 2020. I've seen since Arteta was manager, only Aubameyang has scored 20 plus goals in a season. And even him, he was half the season was with Emery. So the way we play with Arteta, there's a couple of seasons where there was a lot of different goal scorers, especially the 2023 season where Martinelli had 15, Odegaard had 15, Saka had a few as well, Xhaka had a few. That season, a lot of players scored. But we've never really had anyone scoring 20 plus goals since Aubameyang. Now, if, Havertz scored 15 goals 2 seasons ago. The Havertz that Arsenal fans call useless. He scored 15 goals 2 seasons ago. Merino, the guy who's not even a striker, same with Havertz. Did you see the number of goals Merino was scoring last season, even in preseason yesterday? Did you see the kind of goals you're scoring? Now, if Merino and Havertz can get those number of goals, Havertz can get 15 and he's not that good, apparently, and Merino is not that good, apparently, and he's getting all of those goals, surely Gyokeres is also going to score those goals. Surely he's going to score those goals as well. If Merino and Havertz are scoring goals for Arsenal and they're, Havertz himself kept us in a title race in 23-24. You're scoring doubles against Chelsea. Gyokeres will do even better than that, surely. You're not telling me that Merino is a very good finisher. I know that. But Gyokeres is an out-and-out striker. If Merino and Havertz can get those chances and score those goals, surely Gyokeres is going to do it as well. So I'm 100% convinced he's going to get 20 plus goals in the Premier League. He's going to have a couple of games where he's scoring 2 goals. He might even have a hat-trick this season. Like, I'm that convinced. Like, there's no way he's going to fail at Arsenal. No, he's going to get chances from Odegaard, from Saka, all of those guys. Zubimendi's through passes. There's no chance he's going to fail at Arsenal. Like, I cannot wait for him to get started. Also Miguel Delaney said, when the striker plans accelerated this summer, Arsenal had one fixed line, don't go above 65 million. So it's looking like we didn't actually want to go above 65 million for a striker. So the Sesko one became impossible because they were asking for like 70, 80. One reason for this is because the Kroenkes are insistent on financial stability and don't want to be close to PSR. This can frustrate Mikel Arteta. So what will frustrate Mikel Arteta? The 65 million, the PSR. One reason for this is because the Kroenkes are insistent on financial stability and don't want to be close to PSR. Okay, so I guess Arteta doesn't want us to be close to PSR. I guess that's what they mean. I mean, all of us don't want us to be close to PSR. I don't want us to be deducted points and stuff when you're fighting for the Premier League title. So that is great. That is great. We are financially stable. For me, I would have been very happy to go to 80 million to get Gyokeres, but we've been able to get him for 64 million. That is absolutely fine. That is a very good signing. I cannot wait for him to get started. So we finally have the things that we need. So let's try and get Eze, and if we can pull even a cheaper wing after that, that would be a very complete transfer win. And let's see how it goes. His debut against Man United. I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait, man. Gyokeres is coming from the Portuguese league. He's not going to do anything in the Premier League. We will see about that. We will see. I cannot wait. I cannot wait, man. Why? Because all of a sudden, he's not going to get past Maguire. He's not going to get past, Euro. Euro is the guy who's going to stop Gyokeres completely because he's now in England and not Portugal. We'll see about that, man. We'll see about that. He's 20 plus goals easily in the Premier League. Easily. I've never seen anyone more banks like that easy, especially if he ends up playing like regular every time and doesn't get rotated. It could be 25 plus. Like, that is how confident I am. Gyokeres at Arsenal? Yes, please. Let's see how you guys. Thank you for being here. RK says, how you doing? I'm doing good. So that's the latest, by the way. We've talked about Eze, Rodrygo, Saliba, Jesus, Trossard, Zinchenko, Nelson, Vieira, Gyokeres. There was a lot, actually. So We'll need more signings, says Lighton. Eze next says Ajiboye. How are you? P-Boy. Are we still getting Eze? Looking likely. Let's see how it goes, though. I don't think anyone is sure whether we have to sell players first before getting him. But we wait to see. But I guess if you're going to sign another player, which looks very likely that we are, according to Hand of Arsenal and Fabrice and David Ornstein, it's going to be Eze. I don't think we've been linked to any other player. This is the first time that, the other seasons are usually linked to like over 200 players. This season, we haven't been linked to like 200 players. This season, we've been linked to like 15 players of the same players. 15 Gyokeres, Sesko, Liao, Gordon, all those guys, like 15 same players. This time around, like I don't think there's anyone else we've been linked to apart from Eze. Like, I don't think there's anyone else that you're trying to sign right now apart from Rodrygo is a possibility, but doesn't look likely. I don't think there's anyone else unless someone comes out of nowhere. Let's see. Eze will be Arsenal's player soon and getting the number 10 shirt. I cannot wait. Look at how good he already looks in an Arsenal shirt. I cannot wait for this to be official. Let's see. There's over 200 of you watching on YouTube and over 100 of you on Facebook. I appreciate you for being here. It's a new week. Let's hope we celebrate this week as well. The last week was a very good week, man, with that Gyokeres signing. We want Eze to be part of us. We are Gunners, and we remained as Gunners for life. We were Gunners and remained as Gunners for life. Lamson says, greetings from Sierra Leone. Thank you for watching. I love Eze. I prefer Eze. Same here, man. I would love Eze for sure. My first option was Rodgers from Aston Villa, but at that point, I didn't really think we were going to go for Eze. But as soon as I had, we want Eze for sure. Now, Tottenham did not get Morgan Gibbs-White, so they might want to come back for him. But again, these days I'm never worried about that. Those things don't worry about or me at all. Like, Man City are going to come to try and get Arsenal's target, or Real Madrid are trying to get Arsenal's target. No, ever since we got Declan Rice and Edu and Atta were laughing at Man City and saying, you think you're going to get Rice? Rice is already an Arsenal player, so he can make all the bids that you want. Zubimendi as well recently. So I'm guessing if Arsenal have really talked to Eze, they'll just be laughing at Tottenham and telling them, you think you're going to get the former Arsenal player? We've already talked to him. Don't worry. We're just, gathering some money, and then you're going to go and get Eze, and he'll just say no to Tottenham. Let's hope. We need Eze, says Malik. Prefer Eze, says Ron from Uganda. We need Eze, says Chindo. A lot of people want Eze here as well. Belden wants Eze. And Joseph is watching live from Kenya. Sherry says they prefer Eze. Can Gyokeres play against Tottenham, says Steve. Atita was asked about it, so thank you for bringing that up. Let me find that. Let me tell you what Atita had to say about Gyokeres and playing against Tottenham. Where is it? Tottenham's. Yeah, your interest. The time you're looking for it, that's when, Okay, so you asked a couple of questions on Gyokeres. The first one was the thing about penalties, because Saka takes Arsenal penalties, Odegaard takes Arsenal's penalties. I think Gyokeres scored 17 out of 17. So you asked, will Gyokeres take the penalties from Saka and Odegaard? He said, I'm sure he will step in if they allow him to, because he's been very consistent and he's scored many goals, but we have some other penalty takers, really good ones. They will resolve it themselves, and if not, I will intervene. So yeah, Atta said they will resolve it themselves, and if not, he will intervene. He'll decide who's going to take the penalties. I think at Arsenal, they usually just decide by themselves. I don't think it's any of the coaching stuff that tells them. As you usually see, sometimes Saka wants to take it, sometimes just gives it to Havertz, or sometimes Odegaard goes and tells. I think Odegaard went and told Saka, let Havertz take the penalty that time. Havertz took the penalty. I'm sure there's another time when Sterling took a penalty and missed last season as well. And I think it was Saka just giving him the penalty and telling him take. There's a time Fabio Vieira took a penalty as well. There's a time Jorginho took. So it's usually like Saka and Odegaard usually decide who to give the penalty. I guess it's not even any of the coaching stuff. It's Saka and Odegaard who decide. So if Gyokeres comes to Arsenal, I mean, you want your striker to take the penalty. So to answer your question, Steve, this is what Atita had to say about Gyokeres playing against Tottenham. I think he hasn't had a single training session with the team since the last game with Sporting when they became champions. So we will assess him tomorrow, which is today. He's done all the medicals. Everything is looking good, but to get him up to speed with the right levels of fitness, I think it is very important. So we are not going to stop him. We want him with us as quick as possible, but we'll have to assess the medical team. We'll do that. So it's not guaranteed that he's going to play against Tottenham, especially if they feel like that game is going to be very tough, like the Newcastle one, in terms of, too many fouls and physicality and all that, and is not ready because of no training the last 2 months. Maybe they're just going to hold him back because Mosquera, I thought he was going to play the other day. He didn't play. Maybe they're going to just let them make their debuts at the Emirates when you play Villarreal and Bilbao. Maybe that could be the case. But as of now, we wait to see. We wait to see what is going to happen. Let's see. I'm following from Monrovia, Liberia. Please bring Eze in. We need to straighten our left side if you want to win trophies this season. So yeah, left side definitely. The left side, as I said yesterday or on Saturday, is definitely open right now. Anyone who plays well on that left side can have that position. If Madueke comes and makes his debut at the Emirates Cup or something, and he ends up scoring 2 goals and has like a 9 out of 10 performance, he can have that position for a couple of games if you don't sign a left winger. That is, if Martinelli all of a sudden plays so well against Tottenham in the next game, all of a sudden he's a starter. So right now, there's no one who's a starter at the left wing. It's up for grabs. It's there for anyone to take. Whoever plays well is going to start there against Man United. Please, big no to Anthony Gordon to our club, says Remy. Remy doesn't want Anthony Gordon at Arsenal. And the last update you have on Anthony Gordon is that Arsenal might try to go for him, but he would be expensive, like 70 million or something. That's too expensive. We need Eze, says Ali. Cookie says, would you take Leao over Eze and integrate Dauman more into the first team? No. Eze first for sure. We need someone who can play that 8 position, someone who can, help us, someone who can play next to Odegaard in the 2 number 10s when you're playing against Everton at home and Fulham at home. And also Eze has the Premier League experience already, and Eze can also be competition for Odegaard. Eze can also be competition for Martinelli, Trossard and Madueke on the left side. Yeah, Eze probably be cheap as well. Eze for sure. If it's between the two, it's Eze 100%. We need something different in that attacking midfield. As we saw yesterday, when even Rice is not there in terms of pushing us forward on that left side, we looked very blunt once again. So I would love someone like an Eze there. Getting Leao on the wing, I wouldn't mind. I don't think it should be either or, Cookie. For me, it's if it's either or, it's Eze first. I'm requesting Arsenal to be quick on Eze deal to be say, here we go. For me, I'm not asking them to be quick on anything. As I said, I'm going to judge them at the end of the transfer window. That's why I didn't say anything when he signed Madueke, as well as I was like, let's see, man. If they're probably going to get Gyokeres, they're probably going to get Eze, and then you can get whoever else that you want after that. So yeah, I trust Bata enough not to wake up in the morning and tell him hurry up. They know what they're doing. So he's gotten all the deals, however they wanted to get the deals. Zubimendi, installments, Gyokeres, cheaper add-ons, we included goals instead of just games. Nørgaard, cheaper than what you're supposed to pay for. Mosquera, cheaper than what you're supposed to pay for. So let's see with the Eze one. If you pay Eze 68 million right now, you're going to get him because that is a release clause, but they don't want to pay that 68 million. Do we know the extent of Calafiori injury? Not yet, Goki, but he was walking well after the game yesterday from the videos. I wouldn't play him though anymore for the Asian tour at all. There's no need to risk him at all for the friendly games. And we've seen now, unfortunately, I know he had an injury record. I remember when you were signing him, I kept on going through his injury record, but last season at Bologna, he never got injured at all. So it's just a weird one that, and the bad thing is that at Arsenal, the injuries he's picked up at Arsenal, like 70% of them have been while he was playing for Italy, not even Arsenal. And it was something, some creepy injuries where he just stretches his leg and then out for 2 months, some weird looking injuries, basically. So I would just hope not, but I wouldn't risk him at all again. We've seen that when we play him for 90 minutes, you can't play him the next game as well. So we have to protect him. He's a very good player, unfortunately, because he was, I think he was our best player in the first half in that game as well. But then he went out injured. Jesus can go because he's injury prone, says Outer. Lloyd says, for me, it's clear, Glenn, we need a natural left winger. Even if we get Eze, we still drastically need to improve the left wing, and Mitoma is the player we should go for. Rodrygo out of budget. Brighton are very tough sellers, though, Lloyd. They would ask you for 90 million for Mitoma. I do enjoy preseason, but my concerns are injuries I don't like, says Charles. Yeah, that's why you don't play with the first couple of preseason games. You don't really play that much energy, but then again, when it comes to third or fourth preseason game, because the season is about to start, you have to increase the tempo as well. Fingers crossed for the Eze deal, says Shelley. If possible, let's get Eze and Rodrygo, says Peter. Eze improves our attack from midfield on the right. That's why he shines even for Palace. Mitoma will give us what we need on the left. We all like to say EPL proven, and Mitoma is that, goals and speed. We are waiting for Eberechi Eze, says DJ Kato. Good evening, watching from Abuja, says Wisdom, we need him, we need more good news. I don't think you're going to get Rodrygo unless something drastically changes. Let the club do what they're doing, man. Take your time and cook. Yep. For me, I'm just patient and looking at what they're going to do. I'm already waiting for Gyokeres' debut, though. I'm waiting for Mosquera's debut, and then hopefully get Eze. And if you can get him before the season, fantastic. We need Eze, says Joshua. Please sign him. Please sign replacement for Calafiori, says Wisdom. Calafiori cannot go anywhere, first of all. If that is what you mean, like Calafiori goes now and not now. That will mean that all of a sudden you need like 2 more defenders. We don't have time for that. But so that with that said, with you suggesting a replacement for Calafiori, that is another defender. That is another 30-40 million. I don't think it's possible. So that's why I'm saying now, as of now, you have to keep players like Zinchenko, even for Carabao Cup games, even for those easier games that don't really need a lot of defending. We are going to need him because we don't have enough defenders at the moment. Elvis says, from Kenya, like Gyokeres signing as of now, and we're okay. Love, bro. Thank you for watching. Hi, Glenn. Good evening. How are you doing? I'm doing good, Musa. Thank you for being here. We're waiting for the injury update on Ricardo Calafiori. I think Atsa said he felt something. I don't know if I can find that one. Calafiori. Let's see. He was walking fine. There's a video here of him. I don't think this is copyrighted, though. So there's a video of Calafiori walking out fine. So he's working fine for sure. I don't know what that fan gave him. Hopefully it's a bit of good luck that fan gave him. Yeah, he was working fine. So that is okay. He wasn't like on crutches like he's been the last couple of times he's been injured. Calafiori. Can we get the update on Calafiori? I don't know if I can get it, but basically let's just say he felt something and he needed to be subbed off if I can get it. There's so many updates, man. This is so busy that I have to scroll like 3 pages to find an update on Calafiori. Okay, I can't find it right now, but basically I was asked and he said he felt something, he needed to be subbed off. He didn't want to risk him. Thank you for the super chat, Arke. I appreciate you for the support, and thank you for being a member as well. We appreciate you. Thank you for always watching. Thank you very much. Let's see. Ali says, thanks for the update. Thank you for watching. Steve says, give us updates on Tim and Gabriel. Still injured. They were both like training lightly, but again, I wouldn't risk Gabriel and Tim at all. Absolutely no need. Just wait for when the players get back to England and then they can play. I think next summer we should go for Robinson from Fulham. He's very good. He's a very good player and also suits Mikel's system, says Elvis. I thought he was going to go to Liverpool, but Liverpool got Gyokeres. Anton Robinson is very good, especially in terms of going forward. He's a player who overlaps. He plays differently from what we play. We allow fullbacks to, get into the midfield. Robinson just goes forward. Fantastic player, even for America, is a very, very good player. So I don't know about suiting Mikel's system because we play with an inverted fullback, and Robinson is more of a overlapper. But it would be great to have a player like that as a different option. But a player like Robinson, you're going to have to pay like 50 million. Hi, Glenn. It's George from Kenya. Like the show. Thank you for watching, George. Ken says, Glenn, how far with Eze and Rodrygo? We've talked about it already. Ken. Eze very possible, Rodrygo very unlikely. I have a feeling that we can go for Leao from Zambia. I don't know, maybe, you never know, but I don't think so. For me, I'm expecting Eze and then potentially maybe a cheaper signing after that, or maybe a loan deal, you never know. Let's see. Hopefully the injury is not too serious, says Musa. So not today, Bashar. There's no update on Gordon today. The last one was yesterday. So I appreciate you guys watching as always. There was like over 300 of you consistently on YouTube and Facebook today. Thank you, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.